minute. But here we are, back with the Primetime Fantasy Podcast. My name is Garrett. I'm here with Nick. And for the first time ever, we have a third man in the booth. Why don't you introduce yourself, sir?
Hey, my name is Kip Rux, friends with Nick. Just very, very humbled to be here. I mean, not many people get the chance to sit in this chair, so I'm just gonna have fun here today.
All right, and we are here, Primetime Fantasy Podcast. We are not a whole lot of fantasy going on today. We're going to be talking about free agency, the draft. We might touch on fantasy a little bit when we come to wide receivers or when we talk about the quarterbacks that might go to different teams. So there's that aspect as well. This is also our first ever video podcast, so thank you guys for listening on YouTube. And we're also live on Instagram, which is right on my face. So perfect. Let's get into it. We're going to start with free agency. We're going to talk about the quarterbacks first. There's a lot of different quarterbacks. It looks like a carousel, basically.
Quarterback carousel.
Yeah. That's what it's looking like. The guys like Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, even like Ryan Tannehill's being talked about as a guy who might get big money, go somewhere else. So let's start. We're going to start with Phillip Rivers. We're going to talk about where we want them to go and where we think they'll go, because two very different answers depending on who we're talking about. So Nick, why don't you start? What do you think about Phillip Rivers?
All right, so we're starting with Phillip Rivers.
Yep.
Honestly, I think he should retire, but he's not retired yet. So if I have to play where I think he should go, I think he should go to the Indianapolis Colts.
I'm right there with you.
They have the offensive line, and I think they can work. They have some weapons there, and where he will sign, I think it's a lock that he'll sign with the Colts. Frank Reich likes him. There's ties to the Colts, and honestly, I think he should retire, but I think he's going to be a Colt for at least 1 year.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed with Indianapolis, just because, you hear Pat McAfee talk about all the time about
I love Pat McAfee.
He's always talking about how perfect it would be for Phillip Rivers to get there and raise his 20 kids or however many.
Isn't he having his 21st on the way?
I think so. Tomorrow? Is that tomorrow? I think that's what's the over-under on amount of kids that Phillip Rivers?
Over-under 21 and a half.
I'll take the over on that one. Jokes aside, I think Phillip Rivers would be good to sling around the football, just see what the Colts can do. Unless they decide to pick one in the draft, maybe Jordan Love. I doubt.
Even if they pick someone in the draft, they can sit him.
Right? Because Phillip Rivers, veteran of the league, they can learn behind him as well. So there's that aspect as well. And Jacoby Brissett, I don't know if he's the guy. He had flashes of greatness, but not a whole lot.
And it's important to know they're not tied to him financially. They don't have him long-term deal, so they can go to Phillip Rivers on a 1-year deal and draft a quarterback.
And Brissett's only getting paid, I think, $10 million a year. Something.
What about you, Kip? Where do you think he should go?
I'd have to agree, Colts. I don't see any other scenarios unless something crazy happens with the Raiders and the Raiders scramble for a last-minute QB.
John Gruden likes veteran quarterbacks for some reason.
But I don't see that happening. Colts would be good. He'd come in and have a couple good receivers that were banged up all year. Paris Campbell, T.Y.
Yeah.
That's all I have to add.
All right, moving on to the next quarterback, Tom Brady. For me, where I think he should go, I think he should be with the Patriots. I don't see any benefit of leaving. He has a perfect situation there. They have a top 3 defense. The concern is he has no weapons. They have a good depth at running back. All they need to add is a number 1 receiver, maybe like an A.J. Green. I don't see why he should leave. Where I think he will sign, I think he'll sign with the Tennessee Titans. There's ties to Mike Vrabel there. I think he wants to leave New England, which, again, I don't think he should. I think he goes to Tennessee. They have a very good roster. I think he can win there. What about you, Garrett?
I think he could win in Tennessee, but I would love to see him go to the Las Vegas Raiders. Wouldn't it be such an epic combination to see John Gruden and Tom Brady going at it, talking on the sidelines? Because a lot of people, there's always the conversation of, is the Patriots' greatness more Bill Belichick or is it more Tom Brady? And I think if you put Tom Brady with I would assume one of the worst coaches in the league.
John Gruden?
John Gruden used to be really good, and I like him too. I liked him even as an analyst.
He's a motivator. I would play for John Gruden.
Well,
I think after 5 minutes of talking with John Gruden, you would want to play for him.
Right, but I don't think he's the best strategist in the world. I mean, would you?
He's taking the team from the ashes. It's going to take time.
And he has a 10-year deal.
Yeah, he
so
has a 10-year deal, so he's not going anywhere anytime soon. So.
Yeah. So I would love for him to go to the Raiders. It's not going to happen. But in realism, I think he's going to end up staying with the Patriots. I think a lot of this is just due diligence. This is the first time he's ever been able to kind of scope around free agency, just looking around at some of these teams. And I part of me is kind of like skeptic because I think he's just going around to see what their intel is, what they're trying to do this offseason, and then come back to the Patriots and say, the Titans are going to do this. Oh, the Raiders are going to do this.
That would be so Patriot way right there.
That's what I'm thinking.
You got Bill and Tom Brady in a meeting room. He's like, all right, I need you to go to Tennessee. Go to Las Vegas. Heck, go to Kansas City.
Yeah.
Say you want to be the backup there. Mentor Patrick Mahomes. Get every intel you can on these guys, and then come back and we'll win this. So.
It just seems like a very Patriot thing to do. Also, I don't think Brady will find a better situation than New England. So I think he's going to end up with the Patriots in the end.
Yeah. All I can say is Patriots.
Patriots all the way.
I mean, Brady's been doing all these shenanigans, the Who commercial. I mean, you can't buy into any of these rumors. So I think
the real question is, does Bill Belichick really want Tom Brady back? And that's what I think. I think maybe Brady's feeling like it's personal, like maybe Bill Belichick, because there was rumors with Garoppolo that they were trying to push him out. So I don't know if Brady wants to leave because of maybe he has a respect for Bill Belichick, but does he have a great working relationship with him? I don't know.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right, moving on to the next guy, Teddy Bridgewater. All right, Teddy Bridgewater, if you're listening to this podcast, which he's not, but it would be cool if he was. You need to stay with the Saints. Why? I'll give you one good reason why. Drew Brees is only playing at least one more. There's no way he's going to play 2 more years. Sit behind Drew Brees again for a year. Keep learning from him, and then you will take over in New Orleans as the quarterback. I think that's a great situation for him. Michael Thomas, Sean Payton. The Saints are always nasty on defense. That's the right place for him to be. You should not leave New Orleans. Where I think he will sign, I think he'll sign with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And
that's a good guess.
I think Bruce Arians is off of Jameis Winston, and I think Teddy Bridgewater is a good quarterback. With those weapons, the great receivers, I think he can be successful. I think he'll go to Tampa Bay.
I want and think he's going to end up with the Saints. And like you said, Drew Brees is not going to be playing much longer. And the Saints are a team where they're so good everywhere else. And Teddy Bridgewater's is a good, not great quarterback. He doesn't lose them games, but he doesn't win them either. And I think he went like 4-0, 5-0 when Drew Brees was out with he had some finger injury or something. So it's just a great situation, and he's not a quarterback that's bad, so he's not going to lose games for New Orleans. So, and I think Saints are going to end up finding a way to being able to give him the money. Just based on their cap situation. I think they're in the top half of the league when it comes to cap room. So and Teddy Bridgewater could go to the Buccaneers, but I really think the Saints are going to find a way to bring him back.
All right, Kip.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much else to add here. I think he's going to stick with the Saints. Saints are in a weird spot where they need to look towards the future, but they're still looking towards next playoffs. So
yeah, they're still
could he leave?
They're still competitive. They can compete in the playoffs, so they're in a tough spot there.
Right.
I think the real question is, what do they do with Taysom Hill? They put a contract tender on him. So if a team signs him, they get draft compensation. They get a first round pick for him. I think Taysom Hill will get paid, but what do the Saints do? Do they keep Bridgewater? Do they keep Taysom Hill? Do they let both of them go?
I wonder if they try to make Taysom Hill the starting QB, and if they try to run some sort of...
Or a quarterback by committee, each plays half the game, and they
Could you imagine?
They load manage Drew Brees.
How many teams are doing
Because Drew
that?
Brees, you can see it in the end of the year, he starts, he tails off. It looks like he's worn out, so maybe they can load manage him.
I don't know. Maybe.
Is that a crazy idea?
I mean, it would work in the XFL, but I don't know if it would work in the NFL. I don't know.
All right, moving on to the next guy, a guy that I think is vastly overrated. I think he's good where he was at. Ryan Tannehill. Where he should go, you got to stay with Tennessee. That's the perfect situation for you. running game, above average defense, good supporting cast. He's got to stay in Tennessee. I think he'll get exposed if he leaves. You could see him in Miami. He wasn't that great. I think he's overrated. He played great. Where I think he'll go to the Chargers, obviously, because I think Tom Brady's going to the Titans, so they can't have both, right?
Right.
So I think he will go to the Chargers. The Chargers have a top 10 roster in football, a great defense. There's weapons there, Keenan Allen. I think he'll go to the Chargers on maybe a 2 to 3 year deal.
Ryan Tannehill, like you said, vastly overrated. So I want him to go in a backup role anywhere.
Backup? He's going to get a starter role, guaranteed.
Well, I know.
He's guaranteed a starting job
see,
next year. Guaranteed.
Maybe
now,
not
see, this is
halfway
what
through the
I want.
Maybe not halfway through, but to start the year, he will be a starter.
Well, see, this is what I want. I want him to be a backup. I would much rather prefer him in a backup role because we've seen him try to do good things with the Titans and not the Titans, the Dolphins, and that didn't really work out besides one wild card run. And then he came in and had a good run with the Titans, a good half season. I just don't think it's going to last. I do think the Titans are going to end up signing him just because I don't think Tom Brady goes there, and he's going to end up getting big money. He's not worth it, and the Titans are just going to buy into this idea that he did good for half a season. He's definitely going to do good for long, and just kind of bite themselves to another Marcus Mariota situation.
You think he's staying in Tennessee, Kip, or do you want to see him go elsewhere?
I see nothing changing in Tennessee, so yeah, I see him staying there.
All right, moving on to the next guy, Jameis Winston. All right, Jameis Winston has to be a starting quarterback
30 for 30.
We need him in fantasy football.
He's 30 for 30.
We can't go fantasy football season without Jameis Winston. What would fantasy do? He could be the number 1 quarterback one week, and he could be the 30th quarterback one week. It just depends. There's games where he starts off the first throw of the game, pick 6. And you'll still finish as like a top 5 fantasy quarterback. Like you're look at the score, like
you're
looking at your stat sheet, and it's like, 70-yard interception return for touchdown. Oh well, I'm not concerned. He got the touchdown out of the way.
He gets the ball back too.
Where do I think he should go? I think he should go to the Raiders.
Oh,
why? Because John Gruden loves a guy that can sling the football, and Jameis Winston can sling the football.
Winston,
he will turn the ball over, but he can sling it. Where I think he will go. I think he will go to the Raiders. I think John Gruden him and Mike Mayock have made it clear that they're not, tied to Derek Carr in any way. So I think they're trying to get out for Derek Carr, and I don't know why you'd go to Jameis Winston for trying to win reasons. But if you're trying to have excitement, you're in Las Vegas, sling the football around, go get yourself Jameis Winston. 5,000 yards passing last year.
That was pretty
That's
good.
Impressive. Not many quarterbacks throw for 5,000.
That's pretty good pep talk, honestly. I kind of want to see him
All
go
right,
there
where
too.
are you going with Jameis Winston?
I want him to go to the Patriots, and it's not gonna happen.
You
But
think
could you
Bill
imagine?
Bill Belichick would want to coach him?
But could you imagine?
Bill Belichick would be throwing his clipboard on the ground every time.
But I think if Jameis Winston worked with Bill Belichick, I think
I love
a lot
this.
of those. Could you imagine some of those? I think some of those interceptions would go down, and we'd see more of a.
He'd only have 27 interceptions instead of 30.
I think we'd see more of a 35-25 season than a 30-30.
Where do you think he should go? Where do you think he will sign?
I think he's going to end up signing with the Chargers. I think the Chargers are a team that they're going to. I think they're going to end up drafting a quarterback at I believe they're the 6th pick, and they're going to want someone for the short term. I know Jameis is asking for like $40 million a year, something crazy like that.
Oh, I don't think he's getting that.
Well, I know he's not getting that, but that's what he's asking for.
I think he's going to be like just under $30 million. Like, there's no way he's getting $30 million a year.
Yeah, and as time goes on, that price is gonna his asking price is gonna decrease. So, and I think the Chargers are a team that's just gonna bite on, hey, let's just try it out for a year, let's see how it goes. So yeah.
All right, Kip, Jameis Winston.
Pog, I really like that. I like that Chargers scenario, but I really
he's going to the Raiders.
Think that Jameis Winston will remain a Buck.
Really?
I think he'll remain a Buck because this organization has been so stubborn, so dead set on, this is our guy. Look at him. He can throw for 400 yards. Look at him go. They're gonna hold on to him. They're scared to start over. They started over in that same draft class with Mariota, and they're gonna hold on to that.
Yeah, he was the number 1 pick. It's hard for teams. Look at the Lions; they can't move off Stafford. If you
Yeah.
draft a guy number 1 overall,
Yeah.
it's hard. Like Tennessee drafted Mariota too. They can move off him. It's not the number 1 pick is significant. Like when you lose the number 1 pick, that's hard. Look at the Panthers can't move off Cam Newton. Like make a decision already. All right, Drew Brees. I think this is obvious. There's nowhere he. For all of us, it's got to be the Saints, right? Like he's not going anywhere.
It's in his veins.
I want him to retire.
Okay, you can want him to retire, but there's no way he's going to sign. He's going to be on the Saints or he's going to be retired. There's no way he's playing for Tampa Bay. There's just no way.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't need validation to go and play somewhere else. He's going to be on the Saints one way or another.
And the thing that like concerns me the most about Drew Brees is he used to be a guy that made his team better. Now it looks like he's making his team worse. And I think you watch that game versus I believe it's the Vikings in the wild card. There was not like any signs of
that's what I was saying.
He's Drew Brees.
He's lost the arm strength to go deep downfield. So it's when a defense can focus 20 yards and in, that's a lot easier to cover than having.
Which is why I mean, and I'm a big Drew Brees guy, but I really wish he would just retire, just hang it up. I don't think they're not going to win the Super Bowl next year if he decides to be the starting quarterback there. But like you said, I do think he's a Saints, and as long as he wants to play there, he will. They might ask him to take a pay cut just so they can be able to sign some of their returning guys, and maybe
I
Teddy
think
Bridgewater.
he would take a pay cut. I don't think he's dead set. I have to get $30 million. He
Right.
knows that he's limited. He knows he's not as great as he was 3-4 years ago. I think he would take a pay cut to return.
Takes that cut, bring back Taysom, and there you go, load management.
Yep.
So.
All right, moving on to Dak Prescott. This one's a little bit different because he could go somewhere. Technically, he could.
Really?
For me, it's the Cowboys.
So stubborn.
It's the Cowboys. First off, he should want to stay with the Cowboys. I mean, first off, they have everything you want there. They have a above-average running back. They have a great offensive line. They have 3 Pro Bowl offensive linemen. Their defense, isn't great, but they can address their defense. I would be concerned if Amari Cooper left, but for Dak Prescott, I think he's got to stay with Dallas. For him personally, I wouldn't want to go anywhere else. It's got to be Dallas.
He's going to end up staying with Dallas, and I mean, he wants $40 million a year, something crazy, but
well, the last thing I saw, he was offered $105 million guaranteed. I don't know what the total deal was, but $105 million guaranteed, and he did not take that. So maybe his agent's telling him stuff like, we're going to get more, but that's a lot of money to pass up guaranteed.
Right, and he's not going to get anything more than that. And he's probably his guaranteed's probably going to go down because he declined it.
Well, obviously he disagrees with you because he turned that down.
Well, he's going to get franchise tagged this year, and I think they're just going to end up pushing it towards next year. And they're eventually going to work out a deal. I don't see a situation where Dak Prescott goes elsewhere because I think not many teams will have the same patience that the Cowboys do with him. Because he kind of, quote-unquote, saved the Cowboys, being a 4th-round pick rookie that came in for Tony Romo. And so I don't think, like, if he went to Tampa Bay tomorrow.
I would love him in Tampa Bay. You kidding me?
But I think
with Chris Godwin and Mike Evans and O.J. Howard.
They would give up on him very quickly, I think.
Tampa Bay would, I guarantee you, if Tampa Bay could swap quarterbacks, they would move off Jameis Winston so fast for Dak Prescott.
No, Tampa Bay would, but I don't think.
I don't think you're underselling Dak Prescott. He's not great, but he's not bad. There's a lot of intangibles there. Dak Prescott is not a bad quarterback. He's not. People like to give him shade because he's on the Cowboys, right? I mean, he's not that bad. I think you're underselling him. He's got a great touchdown to interception ratio. He doesn't make a lot of dumb mistakes, and he completes 65% of his passes.
Well, when you only have to pass 3 yards, I would probably complete that many too.
All right, Kip. Dak Prescott, staying with the Cowboys or?
He's staying with them boys. He's not getting.
Do you have like
what
a dream?
wants.
Do you have a scenario like have him replaced by someone? Like, do you want him to leave Dallas? Like, if
I don't know. I don't really care who's in Dallas. I think he's gonna
no one
have
cares
to
about
take.
those guys. America's team.
Everyone hates the Cowboys.
I know it's tough.
I don't hate them.
Neither do I, but
I don't know. I hate Skip Bayless.
I just don't see anything happening. He's gonna have to take a pay cut from what his expectations are. His expectations are through the roof.
yeah.
After being in the league for a couple of years.
Well, Dallas messed up. They paid Zeke $90 million. That's going to come back to bite them because they're going to lose Amari Cooper. They can't pay Dak and Amari Cooper. They're losing one of them. And obviously quarterback's more important than the receiver. So them paying, Zeke $90 million, that's going to cost them, their number one cornerback and probably Amari Cooper. So moving on to our wild card picks. These are non-quarterback free agents. We have some guys here that obviously aren't quarterbacks, where we think they should go and where they will go.
And there's a lot of free agents out there, so we limited it to Hugh picked 3 and I picked 3 non-quarterbacks. And there's so much movement that's going to happen that we can't keep track of it all.
All right, I'm going to start with. I'll go through my 3 real quick, and then you guys give me your thoughts. Amari Cooper, where I think he should go is the Arizona Cardinals. They got Kyler Murray there. They have a ton of cap space. He would be number one there. He would get a lot of balls there, and he would get paid. Where I think he will sign is the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles need to make a splash at receiver. They're going to cut bait with Alshon Jeffrey. Deshaun Jackson's another year older, didn't even play last year. They need receiver help, and what better than steal Dallas's receiver and put him on your team? Like, can you imagine Jerry Jones watching Amari?
It's a very NFC East move.
Carson Wentz to Amari Cooper on 3rd and 10 to ice the game, and him shaking his head like, we let that guy go. Moving on, next guy, Robbie Anderson. I don't see him returning to the Jets. He wants too much money for them. He's not a true number 1. I think he's a number 2. Where I think he should go is the Green Bay Packers. They already have Devontae Adams there. Aaron Rodgers likes to sling the ball. Valdez-Scantling and Geronimo Allison were inconsistent last year. They need a true deep threat because Devontae Adams not necessarily like a burner. So I think he should go to the Packers.
Do they have the cap space to sign him?
Yeah, they got the cap space. Where I think he will sign is the New Orleans Saints. They have no number 2 receiver. They kept trying to find someone. They even signed Dez Bryant a year ago to try to get him in there. Robbie Anderson would look good across Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas more of the possession receiver. Anderson would take the top off the defense. My last guy is a guy that's vastly overrated, but Jadeveon Clowney, this guy, he looks like he should be a Hall of Famer. He's got the physical
He's
prowess.
got the size, yeah.
He's a good player. He's not great. I think he will go to the Miami Dolphins. They have a ton of cap space. Brian Flores, defensive guy. He wants guys that get after the quarterback. They have the money to do it. I think Clowney will be a Miami Dolphin this year.
Those are your
Garrett,
3 guys.
Yep.
And I wouldn't disagree with any of those. I think Amari Cooper is going to end up staying with the Cowboys. They're going to end up finding a way. And I think he's been a better fit there with a good team than he has been with the Raiders, who weren't very good when he was there.
But do you agree that he would be good in Arizona?
See, I don't know, because it's, I don't know how he would fit in the air raid offense. I think he would fit well on paper, but I also thought he'd do well with Derek Carr and the Raiders. But and they went like 4-12 every year he was there. So
all right, Garrett, give us your free agents.
All right, the ones that I'm going to talk about. I'll start on the defensive side. I have Byron Jones, cornerback for the Dallas Cowboys. There's a lot of rumors as to where he was going to go. He has a ton of suitors. I want him to go to Kansas City. They could desperately use a corner like him, and I think to build off of that Super Bowl resume, I think he would be the perfect splash move. I don't think they have the cap room, though, so I do think he's going to end up signing with the Washington Redskins. Like he mentioned earlier, these NFC teams, they always try to steal each other's players, and I think the Redskins are this team that always try to steal defensive guys who play well. Sometimes it works out, like Landon Collins, and sometimes it doesn't work out, like a guy like Josh Norman, who
they just cut bait with Josh Norman.
They did,
who signed with the Buffalo Bills. I don't know what they saw in him. He's pretty washed, but
yeah. And they usually spend big money on defensive names, and they're going to find the room to sign them. They're in the top, I want to say the top 10, top 12.
They have cap room because they're not paying their. I mean, I guess they're paying Alex Smith, but with the injury and the insurances and stuff, I don't think they're tied.
And they might end up trading Alex Smith. I've heard that too, but I don't know.
Alex Smith would be lucky if he could play another down at football again. He's lucky he didn't have his leg amputated. There's a story about that. Yeah.
So that's Byron Jones. I have Brandon Sheriff. He's the right guard, I believe, of the Washington Redskins. He's Pro Bowl guard, one of the best in the league. I want him to go to the Saints because they need inside O-line help, and if Drew Brees decides to play another year, I would like to see Drew Brees walking and not in a wheelchair. So, and they desperately need the help. I don't think he's going to go there because I think the Redskins are going to end up franchise tagging him. And even if he doesn't want to play for the Redskins, which hasn't been rumored, I'm just kind of making that up, they're going to end up tagging him and or trading him. And usually offensive guards or just offensive linemen in general who are Pro Bowl level don't usually move around on the free agent market. So he's going to end up staying with the Redskins. My last guy is A.J. Green. This is a guy who I think is pretty overrated considering what he's done in the past 5 years. And I want him to go to the Patriots. I think he's a good enough wide receiver where if he ends up with Tom Brady or Bill Belichick, they're going to end up being – it's going to be a match made in heaven. I mean, A.J. Green is a guy who's been wanting to play for winner for years and years and years, and he just hasn't been able to because he's been stuck on these Bengals teams that make it to the wild card round or to the divisional and end up losing. So, but I think he's going to end up signing with the Bengals because
the one thing on the AJ Green point is he's going to be. I think he'll be franchise tagged. That doesn't mean he's going to play with the Bengals next year. It just means they'll probably franchise tag him and trade him. Well, I don't think he's going to be able to sign a deal with the Patriots. The Patriots want him. They got to trade a draft.
Well, if you let me finish, I think he's going to end up being franchise tagged by the Cincinnati Bengals. So
I beat you to the point.
Yeah.
You gotta get going.
Oh, whatever.
all right, Nick.
My head's spinning, Garrett. When you start talking players, my head spins.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're gonna end up franchise tagging him, and he's gonna end up signing for like $15 million a year, probably, whether he wants to or not. Because that's just, I mean, no one's gonna offer him that much money anyway. So there's that as well.
Well, I wouldn't say that. A lot of people get overpaid in free agency.
And not so much wide receivers, I don't think.
If AJ Green hit free agency, there would be a team that would say, you know what, let's go get him.
He's got question marks.
Yeah, he's got health concerns,
both his feet.
But people get paid by their name sometimes. They do. It just happens.
Yeah.
All right.
And free agency, people get overpaid all the time. Like Le'Veon Bell, I think, is a really good player, but he got overpaid by the Jets.
Well, I thought he
because of his resume.
I thought he would do better than he did this year, but there's that as well.
All right.
Any points that you want to touch up on, or just kind of agree across?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I don't have too much insight.
All right. Let's get into our NFL draft.
All right.
We're gonna do a mock draft, and how it's gonna go. It's kind of set up weird because we're not in order.
We're not in order,
but pick 1, pick 2, pick 3, and we're gonna go. We're gonna, snake.
It ends up
not
in
snake.
order.
We're gonna. Is it linear? Is it what it's called?
Kind of.
It's like back to. Garrett's going to pick 1.
Yeah.
We're going to do every 3 picks is what's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah. So, and if you're listening on the audio podcast, I'm going to start with the first pick. Nick will have the second, and Kip will have the third pick.
Lions.
And then I'll just go to...
Kip's picking for the Lions, so no pressure, Kip.
No pressure. We have the entire Lions
90% of the audience is Lions fans, so...
Yeah, and then I'll just go to the fourth, and it'll go so on and so forth. So with the first pick in the 2020 NFL Draft...
Oh, you sound so official. Where's the ding?
Yeah.
Do we have our gong?
I'll put it in there. No, I won't.
No.
First overall pick, Cincinnati Bengals.
Boo. They're booing Roger Goodell as he walks across the stage.
I couldn't imagine that. Getting booed like every time you walk.
He doesn't care. He makes so much money. All right, get on to the pick.
All right. Number 1 pick. This is pretty obvious. I'm going to go with Joe Burrow out of LSU. Very obvious pick. He's a leader in the locker room. He's a tough guy. Grew up in Ohio. So he's basically a hometown. This is a hometown pick. And it looks like he's going to end up being a good quarterback in the league. And I wouldn't be surprised if he makes a Pro Bowl within his first 4 years there.
I think he's every bit like Matt Ryan. I think if you were just like there were like shadows and you watch him play, he's like Matt Ryan. So you could do worse than that.
Yikes.
Not bad. Well, yikes. What do you mean yikes? Matt Ryan's a good quarterback.
I think
You think he's better than Matt Ryan?
Well, not right now. I think Joe Burrow has a higher ceiling than Matt Ryan. That's what I would say.
All right, so got him going number 1 to the Bengals.
Yep.
I can't argue that. That seems like it's locked. Number 2, the Washington Redskins.
Let's go.
Who am I picking?
Washington Redskins.
This is the
you
most
you
interesting
guys take a guess. Who do you
spot.
think? I know who I'm picking. Take a guess who you think I'm picking.
Chase Young.
Who do you think, Kip?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Kip City hopping in here. I am taking Tua. Why am I taking Tua? Well, first off, there's a lot of concerns with Dwayne Haskins. There's maturity concerns here. And obviously, let's get on. Can I finish my point, Garrett, before you freak out?
No, I'm going to write it down. That's what I was going to.
You made it look like you were ticked off.
I was going to walk out of the room.
And ability. Let's go back to Arizona last year. They had Josh Rosen, right? Yep. They had the ability to keep Josh Rosen. They said, you know what? We see an upgrade at quarterback. We're going to get him. They went and got Kyler Murray. They're better off with Kyler Murray. Right now, Josh Rosen, I feel bad for him. He's basically out of the league. Where is he now? If you can upgrade the quarterback positions where if you are elite there, you're going to win ball games. It just happens. Tua is elite. You just hope he stays healthy. He's going to the Washington Redskins. Kip, did I mess up your draft board now?
No,
because Lions fans, are you passing on Chase Young? The
This-
Lions are passing on Chase Young.
Okay. I'm not Bob Quinn. Okay, I can't go into Bob Quinn's mind because he could pick a tight end here. But anyways, I'm glad you picked Tua there. That was what I would have said. That 2 spot is so important for Tua to be at, and I feel like other teams are going to be clawing for that.
If Tua went 2, the Lions would be totally devastated.
Yeah.
They would. If they wanted Chase Young, they would be okay with that. But if they wanted to trade, you can't trade down now.
No.
From 3.
No.
Because you're not giving up a boatload for a pass rusher. You're giving up a boatload for a quarterback. So if the Lions are planning on trading down, that sucks for them.
So the Lions take a freak here, Chase Young, out of Ohio State. It's just a slam dunk for the Lions. They thought they were going to get Jeffrey Okudah, and I'm just happy that this Tua hype has been overblown. So
You think it's been overblown?
I think it's almost at its height.
Well, I mean, do you think like he's overrated? Is what I'm saying.
No, he's not overrated.
Okay, that's what I mean. Is.
I don't know if I was even the Bengals, I would take Tua over Joe Burrow.
I think Tua's better than Joe Burrow, but Joe Burrow doesn't have a history of health and injury, so
I think
it's safer for the Bengals to take.
And they can win now. They can go right in with Joe.
I think how I would say it, I think Tua has a higher ceiling, but I think Joe Burrow has a higher floor. Like I think Tua is the most, but I don't want to say the most bust potential, but he is a bigger chance to bust than Joe Burrow would.
Absolutely.
And because Joe Burrow knows where he's getting drafted to, so he can kind of prepare mentally ahead. Number 4, the New York Giants. The New York Football
G-men.
Giants.
Yes. G for Garrett. G-men.
G-men. That's what we like to see.
Don't mess it up because Giants fans we thought they're terrible.
Well, Giants
fans
might
are
not like
savages.
this. Fans might not like this pick, but I think it's a very necessary pick for them to make. I'm going to pick Jedrick Wills Jr. out of Alabama. He's a left tackle. He played right tackle in college, but he was protecting the blind side of Tua during those years. And he has the size and athleticism to play either side. So he's going to be expected to be a blindside tackle in the league. And I think he's the best tackle prospect across the board by all these guys.
I don't know about that.
By a lot
When
of
you say prospect, he may become the best. I don't know if he's got the highest ceiling.
that's true. But I think a lot of these guys have him rated first or second. The people who rate these mock drafts, I don't really pay attention to offensive line. I just go by what the experts say. And I think I think the experts would like this pick. Giants fans might not like this pick because Isaiah Simmons is very much beloved, across multiple franchise fan bases that have a chance to draft him. But I think Jedrick Wills is the better pick for the long term.
All right. The Miami Dolphins are up here at 5. They ideally wanted Tua. They can't get him.
Yep.
Their owner, Stephen Ross, he loves Joe Burrow. Can't get him unless they trade up. They are going to take a quarterback, and it's going to be Justin Herbert from Oregon.
All right.
Yep.
They need a quarterback there. I love Ryan Fitzpatrick because in fantasy, you can play him sometimes. But we're talking real life here. They need a quarterback. They go get Justin Herbert, 6'6". He's big. He showed out at the Senior Bowl. He was the best player there. He had a good combine. This guy was in contention to be a top 3 pick last year's draft. He returned to Oregon. He goes number 5 to Miami. Any thoughts on that one, guys?
It makes sense, and they signed Fitzpatrick for another year, so I could definitely see that going that way.
Yep.
All right,
Kip,
so
number 6.
Chargers come on the clock here. Now, Chargers are kind of shell-shocked. Both
Yeah.
They
all
wanted
three-
Herbert, right?
Yeah, all 3 of these top QBs are now gone, just like that.
Jordan Love.
Well, they need O-linemen, they need some linebackers, and they need cornerbacks. So it's tough, but
I
I would
think-
say they get a little salty, so they grab Isaiah Simmons, who was highly hyped in the combine, and Isaiah Simmons jumped like
He ran
even
a
ahead of Okuda.
he ran a
in my opinion.
4.39 40 time. Think about that for a second.
Yeah, I
that's
know.
a linebacker. And I actually like this pick, and I'll tell you why. It's because they already have Derwin James there, and Derwin James might be the best defensive player in football. If you're talking like athlete, ability to cover, play the run, everything, Derwin James is a freak. If they put Isaiah Simmons on that defense, that would be a great pick. I agree there, Kip. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, he got a lot of hype because of also the national championship game. He played pretty well there too, despite the rest of Clemson just kind of collapsing.
Isaiah Simmons could be the best player in this entire draft class.
He's also a positionless player, so I think he's going to need some time to develop in whatever position he decides to settle in. And if he gets drafted to the Chargers, like in this scenario, I think he'll end up playing middle linebacker, being a 3-down back. Kind of like a Luke Kuechly is how
I think they would. They obviously need to address the quarterback position, but they would probably, if this happened, they got Isaiah Simmons. I don't think they would be upset at all. I think they would be happy with that.
Yeah, and I imagine they're going to sign one of these guys who are on the carousel, so they'll have someone there at least for the next 2 years.
Or trade for Cam Newton, which I'm hoping happens. As a Cam fan, they should trade for him, but we won't get too far into that.
Yeah.
All right, Garrett, you're up here at number 7.
Number 7, Panthers. A lot of different needs. One of them being quarterback. I think in this scenario they'll end up staying with Cam just because, the top 3 guys being gone already. And Jordan Love, I think, is a little overrated to be drafted in the top 10. So I'm going to go with Derek Brown out of Auburn. He's an interior defensive line, kind of a nose tackle. It's a huge need for the Panthers. They let up a lot of rushing yards. They were the best passing defense, one of the worst rushing defenses this past year. He shuts down the run, and I remember I was watching this play where he was blocked by 3 offensive linemen. At this one play, they had 3 offensive linemen trying to stop him, and he was still pushing him, moving him around. So,
Yeah, he's a big dude.
He's a big guy, and so I could see him going as high as 3, and I could see him going as low as 10. I think this is a perfect pick for him to drop to the Panthers.
I can't disagree with that. I think he's, you win in the trenches, offensive line, defensive line. The Panthers need a lot of help. They got a new coach there. I don't think they're planning to win now. I think they're trying to build themselves up, and you do that on the offense and defensive line. I can't disagree with that pick, Garrett. Number 8, the Arizona Cardinals. This one's pretty simple for me. I think they will make a splash in free agency, maybe get Amari Cooper as a weapon there. They don't need to draft a receiver in a deep receiver class. They don't need to draft one at 8. They're going to take Mekhi Becton, the tackle from Louisville. This guy is 6'9", almost 400 pounds. This guy, you can't move him. I don't care how tough you are. That's like, those like cranes, and they have that, that ball that swings down, and it's like 500 pounds, and it's just to balance it out so the crane doesn't tip over.
Yeah.
Mekhi Becton's like that. Try like it's basically like go put your hands up against the wall and try pushing it. You're not pushing it. That's how big this guy is. Mekhi Becton goes there. He could bust because he's not very.
This is a guy who's
not very. He's either boom or bust. But guess what? You got a quarterback running for his life back there. They need to protect him. The Arizona Cardinals will take a receiver later. They still have Christian Kirk in the mix. Andy Isabella. They don't need to reach here for a receiver. They take offensive tackle Mekhi Becton from Louisville.
All right. I like that pick, and
and that's the guy I was telling you about, who I think has the highest upside.
He is a higher upside than
Wills
Wills
might have
does.
a higher floor and not bust as much.
Yeah.
But this guy, he's probably the biggest guy in the NFL.
And I would agree with you. I think he is a higher upside there. And for a team like Arizona that's not trying to win right now, I think that's a good pick for them.
All right, pick 9.
All right,
Kip.
so coming in with the Jags now.
Interesting
Jags
team.
kind of get shell-shocked this past summer and this past year, losing just about everyone in their secondary. So I feel like they are forced to take Jeffrey Okudah with this pick.
Oh, that's it. If he fell this far,
And
then, yeah.
they would not be mad at that because this guy, Jeffrey Okudah, is going to be a good player in the next 5 years, even in the next 10 years.
Oh, right away, I think he'd be a really good player.
I would agree,
Yeah.
yeah. I think.
And just with Okudah, a lot of cornerbacks in today's NFL are, I don't know if afraid to tackle is the right word, but they're just not great at tackling the run. They're normally trying to cover, and covering's more important, but The thing on Okuda is he's not afraid to play the run, and I think he has all pro potential. So I agree with the pick there, Kip.
And that's a great, for him to be touted as highly as the third pick.
He could be the third pick, and if he's there at 9, I could see Jacksonville running that. That card.
Yeah, I think it's amazing for the Jags if he falls down to 9 for them.
All right, Garrett, number 10.
Number 10, Cleveland Browns. This is a team that's trying to win now. They don't have many needs besides a good coach
And a quarterback. Did I say that?
Come on now. Baker's not that bad. But they do need offensive tackle help, and I'm going to pick Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa. Okay. And this is a guy who will need some development, but I think he's going to end up being He's going to end up being the blindside tackle of the future for Baker. And I can't envision. If he goes to Cleveland, I can't envision him doing bad. Like, I think Cleveland's going to... Yes, they do have some maturity issues. But,
maturity issues.
But I think... my hope is that this new coach really irons all that out. And Tristan Wirfs can, as a new... I don't want to say... What's the word? New blood? Like, kind of new presence in there. I think
coming into the locker room.
Yeah. And I'm not saying he's going to act like a veteran, tell everybody what to do. But... I think he won't have like those maturity issues that a lot of the offensive linemen had last year. So
I love that pick.
All right, number 11, the New York Jets. Jets, Jets.
Big fan.
No, not a big fan at all.
This is shocker?
No, this is not shocker. This is easy for the Jets. They go out and they get Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver from Alabama.
Great, that would be.
Why do I take Jeudy over CeeDee Lamb? It's because I think Judy's more pro. He's ready right now. I don't think he has to develop.
He's gonna make a huge
Jerry
impact.
Jeudy, everything you hear about him, they say he's one of the best route runners to ever come out of college football. Which in the NFL, you need to be able to run your routes well, especially against today's cornerbacks. Sam Darnold needs help. I think Robbie Anderson moves off. I don't think they want to pay him. They'll address offensive line later in the draft. They go out and they get Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver. I think that's a good pick at 11.
I think that's a great pick at 11. And to kind of dive into fantasy a little bit, I think no matter what team he plays for, I think he's going to end up making a good impact. And if you're in a dynasty league, he is a guy that you would be very lucky to have, or very excited to have on your team.
Number 12, Kip.
All right, yeah, rolling into the LV Raiders.
LV.
That's weird to say, yeah. Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to want to stay on that wide receiver train, grab CeeDee Lamb.
Oh, come on.
Just to
Garrett's over here getting ticked off at a mock draft.
You wanted him on the Bucs?
Are you a fan on the Bucs?
No, the Colts are next.
Oh, boy.
That's who I would have picked with the Colts.
Yeah, CeeDee's just that speedster. Colts seem to love these fast, small receivers. Not have anything else to add.
Yeah, I think CeeDee Lamb, especially if they go out and they get like Phillip Rivers, I think you gotta have enough weapons. T.Y. Hilton struggled to stay healthy. I would not be surprised if he's at the end of his Colts tenure. I think that would be a good pick, CeeDee Lamb.
Well, CeeDee Lamb's going to the Raiders in this.
In the Raiders? I thought you were talking Colts.
I'm the Colts.
Okay,
I wanted to pick.
See, I blame Garrett here. I blame Garrett.
I shouldn't have put that in your head. But.
Okay, I'm blaming Garrett here. Garrett put all this Colts in so he's going to the Raiders, right, Kip?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm blaming Garrett.
Wait
here.
a sec.
Yeah, he's going to the Raiders.
Really?
The 12th pick.
Okay.
I'm blaming Garrett on this one. Okay, now let me address this to the Raiders.
So
the Raiders.
Confused.
I'm blaming Garrett. You know what? Let's move on. I think CeeDee Lamb's a fine pick there at number 12.
He
He
could very much go 13 though.
He could be drafted above Jerry Jeudy because he's a freak athlete too. You see him in the combine, going for those jump balls. It's just like relax. It's a combine. Like he looked like Megatron out there going to get a jump ball.
Yeah,
he could be drafted ahead of Jerry Jeudy. I just think Judy's a better route runner.
Yeah,
Jerry Judy's.
I mean, his yards after reception is insane.
Yeah,
like his vision.
The number one thing on CeeDee Lamb is scouting report is he's excellent after the catch, which you want. That's a great trait.
Yeah, and Judy's more of a physical receiver, so I think there's you're getting two different types of receivers.
All right, Garrett, we're going to the Colts now. Number 13. You got me on the Colts. Number 13. The Colts are up now.
Number 13. I would have picked CeeDee Lamb, but he's not there. So I'm going to go with Jordan Love. There is a need for quarterback there, and I think 13 is a good enough spot where Jordan Love can fall to. And if they go for the short-term route, whether it be Brissett, Phillip Rivers, Derek Carr, you name it. I think Jordan Love's going to end up being the guy that they're going to want to groom and develop there in Indianapolis.
I have no arguments on that at all. Number 14, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are on the clock, and this one is pretty easy for me. They don't need help at receiver. Too early to draft Jacob Eason, the quarterback here. They're going to go Javon Kinlaw, defensive tackle from South Carolina.
Good pick.
This guy, the number one thing I saw in the scouting report is he is an absolute terror in the middle of the defense.
Yeah.
You know, he plays interior defensive lineman, but he could play on the outside. They have Shaquille Barrett, led the league in sacks last year. This defense
and he might not go back.
This defense is really good. Like, you know, when you think of the Buccaneers, you think of Jameis Winston, and it's just like that's what gets talked about. But this defense quietly is really good. They drafted Devin White, linebacker, last year, first round. They got a lot of good athletes, young defense. They go with Javon Kinlaw to anchor their defensive line.
And I like that pick. No arguments there. I think.
Do you see a trend here of people listening? Garrett agrees with everything I say.
That's not. I don't think he'll end up playing interior defense. I think he's going to be kicked out to the edge just because Vita Vea kind of controls the middle there. If he were to go to the Bucs, but I can't disagree with that pick. I think he's a good talent.
All right, Garrett, number 15 or Kip 15, my bad. The Denver Broncos.
Yeah, so the Broncos. I mean, just based on what the Broncos need, they need
Jacob
defense, they need O-line. I'm just gonna take the best available O tackle, Mickey Becton.
He's been picked.
No, I already took Mekhi Becton.
Oh, Mekhi.
Off the board.
Oops, okay, off the board. All right.
He's number 8. What team was that?
I took him for the Cardinals.
Cardinals. That's right.
Let's see. Yeah, I kind of would have wanted the Broncos to go OT, but maybe they'll.
Their left tackle.
go-
Their left tackle, Garrett Bowles. Can we all acknowledge how bad he is? Like he's
Yeah,
terrible.
he's terrible. Yeah.
And I think he's led the league in penalties the last 2 years in a row. And I mean horrible holding penalties on crucial downs. Like I'm surprised they still have them.
Maybe they'll reach here. I'm gonna do a reach pick just because I don't want to switch off of my analysis. I'm going with Andrew Thomas,
Really?
Georgia boy.
Georgia.
That's not.
boy.
That's not a reach. I don't think that's a reach.
Georgia boys.
I wouldn't consider that a reach.
Okay.
Because I think there's a lot of offensive tackles that are going to end up going top 15, top 20, and it's very possible that Andrew Thomas could go as high as 10 to the Browns. So depending on the run.
Scouting report on Andrew Thomas.
Big
the number
dog.
one thing that says is he's a dominant run blocker, and they have Philip Lindsay, Royce Freeman back there. They have a young
got that.
They have a young quarterback, Drew Lock. So if he's a dominant run blocker, that fits right in.
I think he played right tackle in college, but he's going to project to be a left tackle. Garrett Bowles, goodbye, you're out of the league. And I'm glad we don't share the same name because his name is 1 R and mine has 2, so we don't share the same name, so I don't have to.
All right, moving on to 16, Garrett. Number 16.
Number 16, the Atlanta Falcons. They have a lot of needs on the defense, and I'm very glad that you decided to go offensive line here. I'm going to go Kayvon Chaisson from LSU, edge rusher. He can rush the passer. He can drop into coverage. He's a very gifted skill set. I think he's going to end up projecting as a pass rusher with this team. I don't know what kind of defense they have, but he's going to end up figuring into a 3-4 outside linebacker. If the Falcons run a 4-3, he'll just end up being an edge rusher. But he is that kind of skill set to move all around that front 7. I don't see him going inside, but I think he definitely could if he really wanted to. So that's my pick, and I like Chaisson, and I don't expect him to drop this far. But if he did, I think it would be perfect for the Falcons.
I can't disagree with that at all.
Number 18. Or no,
17.
17.
Garrett,
My bad.
get on the bandwagon. All right, 17 here. I'm between 2 players here. It's between Justin Jefferson, the wide receiver from LSU, who's very good in the slot, and C.J. Henderson, the cornerback from Florida. At this point, I think Byron Jones is gone. I think he's leaving at free agency. Dallas needs to address that. C.J. Henderson, cornerback from Florida, will go 17 to the Dallas Cowboys here. They need help on the defense. They need a guy. He's got long arms, good at playing the ball in the air. C.J. Henderson from Florida goes here. They could go receiver, but I think it's a deep receiver class. They'll get him later in the second, third round.
It's super deep, yeah.
So I'm going with the cornerback from Florida.
And I like that pick. I think he's going to end up projecting to be more of a slot corner than he will outside, but he definitely is I think he is the size to potentially be an outside corner. I think a lot of that's just going to come with development, though, which we'll have to see. Mike McCarthy, new scheme, we'll have to see what that defense looks like this year.
All right, Kip, the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
This pick is from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who gave up, what's his name again?
Minka.
Yeah,
They got Minka.
Fitzpatrick.
All right, so one of the Dolphins' 3 picks in the first round. They grabbed their quarterback.
Yep, they got.
They're-
I mocked them. Herbert 5th overall.
Yep. They're still going to want offense, so I'm going to... If it was fantasy football, I would have him... if it was fantasy, like, I would have him take...
This ain't a game. This ain't a game.
Take
DeAndre Swift.
Swift.
He'd be a first-round pick in fantasy.
But, I mean...
That could be.
I think they're impressed by... Why can't I remember his name? The Wisconsin running back.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
Jonathan Taylor.
I think they're impressed. So
He goes 18.
yeah, I'm taking him 18.
Oh, goodness.
Might be a shocker.
If a running back goes top 25, I will not be.
You see all these receivers go top.
I think, I don't know, running backs just for them to. I'm not a big fan of running backs in the first round. Some of them pan out, but a lot of them don't really have very long careers. And these are guys that get interchanged every 5 years.
But I think Jonathan Taylor is a lot like, I'm not calling him this
Jonathan
player.
Taylor is a
I'm
great
not saying
talent.
he's this player, because a lot of when you compare someone to a guy, they're always like, well, he's not that good.
Yeah,
He's like Saquon Barkley, like a freak athlete. Like,
and I would agree.
in the combine, he just tested off the charts and everything. And he's big enough to be a 3-down back. The thing you're concerned with is he's not a great pass catcher, but he's a freak athlete like Barkley. He could be a, first and second down running the ball workhorse, 18, 20 carries a game.
Yeah.
Went to college in Wisconsin. Very, tough Midwest city over there. Not city, state over there.
All right, Garrett, 19.
19. We have the Oakland Raiders.
Another Raiders.
They have some.
The Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders.
the Las Vegas Raiders. This is their second pick in the draft, where we had CeeDee Lamb going there. So, and Patrick Queen's already been taken. So I'm gonna go with, why am I blanking on it? Kenneth Murray from Oklahoma. He's a 3-down backer.
Okay.
He's a lot of speed and toughness. He's gonna be able to get in there on the run plays, and he has the speed to kind of keep up with tight ends. So I think this is a guy that's gonna end up being a 3-down backer and every week starter. No injury concerns. Oklahoma, Kenneth Murray. I like that talent there, and I think this would be a picture perfect draft if the Raiders were able to get CeeDee Lamb and
Picture perfect.
picture perfect if they were able to get CeeDee Lamb and Kenneth Murray.
All right, moving on to pick 20. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars. We mocked them a cornerback. Number 9, we had Jeff Okudah, and this one is tough because I'm not going to take another defensive back. I'm going to go with Patrick Queen, the linebacker from LSU.
Did he get picked?
Patrick Queen, linebacker LSU. He's good in coverage and he has good instincts. I think it would be a good pick there. We're going Patrick Queen. They drafted Okudah and they're getting Patrick Queen here with their second pick, 20th overall.
How many times can you say Patrick Queen?
Patrick Queen.
I thought he got picked. I think Patrick Queen's a better talent than Kenneth Murray.
No, that's why you're so upset. You're like, why didn't I mock him earlier?
Yeah, I thought, but that's okay. And I think Patrick Queen would be good in the, oh my gosh,
The Jaguars.
Jaguars. Yeah, I think he'd play good for the Jaguars. So,
all right, Kip, 21st
Kenneth Murray
overall.
fits better
The
with the
Philadelphia
Raiders
Eagles. Don't mess this up. I know. Okay, you're gonna make the pick, but I know who they should pick here.
So he's gonna have a lot. He's gonna have a lot more.
I have
say
a
than
lot
you
to
will.
say about this. There's an obvious choice on that.
I'm going to go with Henry.
You got it.
Henry
Ruggs.
Ruggs the third, Rugrat.
Henry Ruggs from
Rugrats.
Alabama.
Super speedy receiver. Eagles year after year, everyone clowns their
need a wide
receivers.
receiver back.
Yeah, and he came very close to breaking John Ross's 40 record.
That's insane.
Yeah, he was
Yeah.
under a 4.3, a 4.28.
That's insane.
That's flying.
Oh.
Hey, I've tried.
I don't know if my
I've
car
tried
can
to
go that
time
fast.
my 40 before, and I consider myself like pretty athletic, fast, and I ran like 4.9. Like, you got to be flying to run a 4.28.
Yeah.
Like honestly,
Yeah.
flying.
Yeah. So yeah, track star Henry Ruggs,
The third.
the third.
Garrett, you're up.
Number 22, the Buffalo Bills. They have a lot of. I don't want to say they have a lot of needs, but they could use some help
Again,
on
there's
the edge.
there's
and-
another obvious pick here, but I'll let you make it.
Okay.
Cut him off.
I'm gonna pick Justin Jefferson out of LSU, and I think that no matter who they, I think no matter who they go with, they're gonna end up picking a receiver, and I think because there's a lot of the top defensive talent has already been gone. C.J. Anderson's already been picked. I don't think Caleb Von-Chason would make it down this far, but if he did, that would be their pick. So I think they're gonna have a lot of defensive talent that's ranked high, but I think Justin Jefferson is the kind of player that they're going to be looking for, and I think he's going to be the pick here for the Buffalo Bills. Who is your obvious pick?
I forgot Justin Jefferson was still available, so that's not bad. It would have been T. Higgins.
He would have been my
No,
second.
but I forgot Jefferson was available, so that's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. The New England Patriots are on the clock.
Very interesting pick here.
All right.
They can go a lot of different directions.
So I'm assuming that Tom Brady's returning because that's where I think he should go, even though I project him to leave. But if I'm the Patriots, I'm assuming he's coming back. So I'm not taking quarterback here. They have a very stout defense. They have very good depth on their running back. Tom Brady needs more weapons. He needs a receiver. I'm going to go with T. Higgins from Clemson. He's big. I think he was 6'4", so he's a taller receiver. They drafted a receiver in the first round last year, but you know what? Their number one need is to get playmakers. So they go back-to-back for – now that I'm saying it, it sounds pretty bad. They go back-to-back drafts getting a receiver in the first round.
But it's what they need, and it's like, and T. Higgins is a guy that's not going to have to develop all that much, unlike, and I'm blanking on his name, but the first round receiver last year. But T. Higgins is a guy that's going to be able to contribute within the first 4 weeks of the season, and he's a vertical threat, red zone playmaker. I don't want to comp him to Calvin Johnson. But,
Oh, boy.
Yeah, but
All right, that's the end of the podcast.
but he has some of these traits to kind of just go up and get the ball, and I think if he ended up in New England, I think that'd be a perfect situation for him, going from one winning team to another.
All right, next pick goes to the Saints.
Oh, when the Saints go marching in.
No, I think I
The
see
Saints go.
I see the Saints just eyeballing these receivers and seeing them all drop, and I feel like they still want to jump on that train, so they're going with Jalen Reagor here from TCU. They're just gonna grab the next available receiver.
The Saints need receiver, Garrett. Bad.
I think I have other guys who I think will end up being better, but okay.
Yeah, it's
Jalen Reagor from TCU.
Yeah.
very hard to predict the 24th pick in an NFL draft.
That's true.
If I've
And
ever done that in
there's
my
guys
life.
who can go in different
Slides.
spots. I have receivers that I think will end up turning out better than Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
All right, Garrett. The Vikings.
The 25th pick, the Minnesota Vikings. Is there an obvious pick here, or
No, there's
you
no
you
obvious
said that
pick.
with such conviction. I
Well,
thought.
the other ones was obvious, but the Vikings, there's no obvious one here.
There's no obvious one. The run on receivers is tempting, but they have two good receivers. They're not going to need any more. They're going to need more help on the defense, kind of anchor up the interior on both trenches, on both sides of the line, both the interior offensive line and interior defensive line. I don't see an offensive lineman that's worth the 25th pick right around here, so I'm going to go with Ross Blacklock out of TCU. And this might be considered a reach for some people, but he's projected to be a very important starter. He's going to be a guy that's going to be able to play all over the defensive line. Very explosive, very fast coming right out of the gate. The 10-yard split I think he had was one of the faster ones. So Ross Blacklock out of TCU, two TCU players going back-to-back. And I think the Vikings will be very happy here. While the fans might consider it a reach, you've got to consider the needs and the talent that's available. And
Yeah.
and these are teams that they're not just going to end up picking the best player available. They're going to try to be making the playoffs again the next year. So Ross Blacklock out of TCU. That's my pick.
All right, the Miami Dolphins are on the clock. This is their third pick. This one via the Houston Texans.
Used to be Tennessee, right? Never mind.
Houston Texans.
Tennessee Texans.
This one's pretty obvious. Daniel Jeremiah's big board. The 15th ranked prospect in the draft is Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama.
Come on.
Garrett, can I finish? So we already mocked the Dolphins here. We had him taking Justin Herbert, and you had him taking Jonathan Taylor, right, the running back. They go out and they get a safety, Xavier McKinney. They're building this defense. I think they sign Clowney in free agency. I think the Dolphins are going to be dangerous next year. They were dangerous last year. They went on like a pretty good stretch there at the end
They
of the year.
won 4 games. Yeah, pretty dangerous.
So they go Xavier McKinney, safety from Alabama.
And I love that pick for them. He's a guy that's going to be able to play all over the field. Very hard hitter. Far and away the best safety in this draft. And I think that's a good pick. And while I wish that they kept Minkah Fitzpatrick, because I think they would have played well together, I think this is a good replacement for him.
All right, Garrett, our Kip's up at 27.
Yeah, with the Seattle Seahawks.
Yes.
Seahawks.
Okay, Seattle Seahawks. I feel like they're gonna be a little butthurt about Clowney leaving, so I feel they're gonna try to reload on
The edge.
that position and pick up Marlon Davison.
Good pick for them.
Auburn prospect.
And he's more of an interior defensive lineman, but he's very versatile. He can play all over the line, and he showed good size and good speed at the combine. So I think that would be a good pick for them.
All right, Garrett,
Thank you.
up at 28.
28. The Ravens, very similar needs to the Minnesota Vikings. So it's kind of like if they don't go with Ross Blacklock, that would be the perfect pick for
Switch
the
to
Ravens
them,
here.
yeah.
So I'm going to go with what's might be considered another reach here. I'm going to pick Zach Bond. He's a linebacker out of Wisconsin, very versatile. He's more of an outside linebacker in a 3-4, so he can play the edge, but he also has high upside at linebacker, and I think for this team he's going to end up playing a linebacker just because their edge is kind of, I don't want to say secured, but that's essentially
He is
what it is.
Daniel Jeremiah's 44th ranked prospect, so it would be a little bit of a reach. But guess what? He could. You know what? If he impresses in the interview room and they think he's better than the 44th prospect, then late in the first round, it's not like he was a top 10 pick, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a reach by like 12, 15 picks, but if they think he's that good, then
that's based off one guy's standards. Like
well, Daniel Jeremiah is pretty good at what he does, Garrett. I'm just saying.
I
He
mean-
got my respect. 29.
doesn't let me finish.
29. What do you want to finish with? All right, finish. Because Garrett's whispering.
I don't call that a reach at all. I mean, I'm seeing Zach Bond right here. He had 12.5 sacks in the Big Ten last season.
All right.
Yeah,
That's not a reach.
All over Michigan.
All right.
I just want to say that I respect Daniel Jeremiah too. I don't think he's a bum.
Let me know when you finished.
Go ahead.
All right, the 29th pick, the Tennessee Titans. This one is a little bit difficult. I'm assuming that Derrick Henry comes back, because if he doesn't, then they're taking a running back. That's what their offense is. They need a strong running back. It would be Swift from Georgia. if they lost Derrick
Great
Henry.
talent.
I'm assuming he comes back, and I'm looking here. They need help on the defensive line. I'll take AJ Espin as.
Oh, I forgot about him.
You're talking about interrupting me. AJ Epinesa, the defensive end from Iowa. Everything
Oh
you
my
hear,
gosh.
he's just solid at everything he does. He's not great, but if a guy's above average at everything, that's a good player. They need help on the defensive line, and it's they don't have serious they have to fill this hole unless Derrick Henry leaves, and I don't think they take a quarterback, so it's going to be Epinesa from Iowa.
And he's going to fall. He might fall this far just because there is some concern about his size playing the edge position, or even the interior defensive line position. But I think he has the upside to play that, and I think this would be a perfect pick for them. I would have picked him higher. I just didn't think about it. And I would rank him as a higher prospect than guys like Marlon Davidson or Ross Blacklock. But this would be a good pick for them.
All right, Kip. 30th overall, the Packers, the Cheeseheads.
All right, so the Green Bay Packers. Like we said earlier in the pod, they need receivers. So I'm just going to have them take the next best. Laviska Shenault Jr., Colorado wide receiver.
I like that.
This dude is just a tackle missing machine. He's actually dodged more tackles than CeeDee Lamb last season. I feel like it's a good fit for the Packers.
Daniel Jeremiah's notes. I cut you off again. His notes on Shenault is he's the best athlete in the draft class. So if you're drafting, a great athlete, a guy you just want to get the ball in his hands.
And that's what my notes say too. And he's a big enough guy where he can similar. I don't want to say similar to Jerry Jeudy, but he's a guy that can impose a physical threat opposite Devontae Adams.
And I think they have to go get another receiver because you can't count on Valdez Scantling and Geronimo Allison. They're just not cutting it out as the number 2. And I think they need to go get a guy to help Devontae Adams.
Jimmy Graham should also be cut.
Well, he's already gone. They already moved.
Oh, really?
Yep. So
Good.
they need wide receiver help. Laviska Shenault. I just love that name.
I do, yeah.
That name, that's a fantasy name right there. Can you imagine?
Is that Finnish?
I don't know
Is
if
that
it's
Swedish?
Finnish, but if he's on your fantasy team, could you imagine?
Yeah, I would
Laviska
look at that name every
Shenault.
day, honestly.
You just got Chenaulted.
That has high potential for good fantasy names.
So we go Laviska Shenault to the Packers. Garrett, you're up here at 31. It's the losing 49ers.
What do you say?
They lost the Super Bowl.
Well, they did, but I wouldn't consider them losing.
L's. Is that an L? Oh. Yeah, that is an L.
Do you think, honest question, do you think the 49ers make the playoffs this year?
Yeah, make the
Absolutely.
playoffs, yeah.
Well, we've seen teams where they just completely
Well, they're
fall off.
not falling off.
We said that about the Rams. We also said that about the Falcons.
I would bet every dollar I had that the 49ers make the playoffs next year.
Every dollar. Okay.
Every dollar.
We have that on
Must
video
not
and
have
on
a lot of
audio.
dollars. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I'm
the
holding you to that.
49ers, I guarantee you the 49ers make the playoffs. Guarantee it. They'll make the playoffs next year.
All right, let's hope so. With this pick, Xavier McKinney would be the ideal pick.
Someone over here.
But
picked
someone
them.
already picked him, and he is potential to go a lot higher than 31st, just because each team could use a guy like him, and he's kind of a wild card prospect. So I'm going to go with another pick that might seem like a reach. I'm going to go with Jeff Gladney. I believe he's out of, I want to say Penn State, but that might not be correct.
Yeah, no, he's a DB out of TCU.
TCU, my bad. He's 5'10". He plays much bigger than that. He's very good in press coverage, and this is a guy that I'm not sure how much press coverage the 49ers run, but this is a guy that's going to be able to be physical and get physical with some pause.
Physical.
What do you, never mind.
No.
Jeff Gladney, TCU. He's going to end up playing the outside cornerback, and I think that's a position they could use opposite Richard Sherman.
All right. And I actually agree because their number 2 cornerback, Akella Witherspoon, sucked last year.
Yeah.
If you go ask any 49er fans, every single game he was just getting burned. So I don't think they would disagree there. 32, the Super Bowl champion, Kansas City Chiefs. They take quarterback Jacob Eason. No, I'm just kidding. You didn't take me
Whoa.
seriously. Like, Kip is half asleep there. He's like, wait a minute, what? They have
rolled
Patrick,
into
they have
that
Patrick
thing.
Mahomes, right? No, this one's obvious for me. The highest rated running back is DeAndre Swift.
Yeah.
LaShawn
That makes
McCoy,
sense.
gone. He was a healthy scratch in the Super Bowl. He's gone.
Damian
Damian
Williams.
Williams, Darrell Williams, any Williams you got.
There's-
They are just bench running backs at this point. Damian Williams can't stay healthy enough to be a number 1 back. DeAndre Swift, everything you hear, he's really good pass catcher. Everything that the Chiefs need. I think he'd fit
But
great.
wait,
and
wait.
in fantasy, if he went there, oh my, is that a dream?
Yeah,
Yeah.
hold on. But what about Darwin Thompson? This
Oh,
dude's
boy.
coming up. This dude's gonna
Darwin
break
Thompson
out.
is going to cause havoc in the Chiefs draft. We have Darwin Thompson. We can't draft him. This guy's special.
Good grief.
Yeah, Swift.
I would
Fantasy
love
machine.
it if Swift went to
Here
the
we go.
Chiefs. If anyone on the Chiefs or organization's listening, first off, give me an interview. Second off, take DeAndre Swift, please. That would be great for fantasy.
Swift is actually my favorite running back in this draft, and I think that would be a match made. I didn't even think about that, but think that would be a perfect pick for them at number 32.
Hey, one of your guys wants Dash to make a pick.
Oh,
no.
Dash's pick.
We have the primetime fantasy dog here, Dash.
the mascot.
The primetime fantasy mascot.
So yeah, that's the draft. Is there any? I mean, you guys all love my picks, which isn't surprising. Anything else?
Some notable guys.
Like, who was your favorite? Like, if you want your pick, who was your favorite one? Like the one you mocked. Like that has to happen. Like Kip, is it Jonathan Taylor to the Dolphins?
Oh, that has to happen.
Like,
well,
like
I mean, I can't cheat and
like
pick the top 3 picks, but
like the one where you're like that makes way too much sense. Like, I'll start it off here. I think it's my phone's dying. I think it's Mekhi Becton from Louisville. I think that guy's a freak athlete, and Kyler Murray's small, and he was running for his life last year. So I think that makes way too much sense.
I'd have to go with the Okuda pick to the Jags. I mean, if he slides
That's
that far,
I like that.
it has to be go time for
What
the
about
Jags.
you, Garrett? What's the one pick where you're like, wow?
I would say like my top 5 picks. Honestly, I mean, it's I don't really have a pick that's I don't want to say that's bad, but I just don't think there's. A lot of these picks are like, they could go here, they could go here. I don't think I have one of my picks where I say that like this is the absolute most perfect happen pick.
What about like my picks? Do you like a few of my picks?
All right.
Yeah. Honestly, Jedrick Wills Jr. If I had to pick one guy, I think that just they need offensive line help. They just got rid of Eric Flowers, thank goodness. And a lot of people are mocking Isaiah Simmons to go there. I just think it makes too much sense for them to pick a left tackle.
All right, this is the end of the podcast, but before we go, Garrett, you forgot to mention something at the start of the podcast. Do you want to mention it?
All right, guys. Thank you all for listening. You guys are the
You're
best
really
supporters in the
gonna do.
fan.
You're really gonna do it like that.
Why don't you? You gotta.
Well, I don't want to brag. You gotta say it. Like, what happened?
Well, I'm not bragging either. So
Well, you
looks like
came
we'll
in,
have to sit here
fourth,
until.
right? All right, Garrett doesn't want to say it. I feel bad.
Why don't you just tell him?
But I'm the champion again. So that's,
You won. You won one side of your 10
He
leagues.
beat his dad.
There
If you remember from our last podcast back in December, all the way back then, and
Garrett
Nick
was saying Garrett was projecting me to lose, and I was like, "Are you serious?"
I said you have a good chance to win.
No, you said I'll lose.
That's not true. Don't look
But
back.
anyways,
look back at the
I
tape.
am the
Yeah.
champion of
Back in
Primetime
the VODs.
Fantasy, and I will be the Primetime Fantasy Championship again. So that's all I got to say. Garrett, am I interrupting you from saying anything?
Nope. I think I think I'm gonna go for it this next year and leave it all in the draft room. Leave it all in the.
All right. Well, that is the end of that podcast. It went like an hour and a half. But
Hey, thanks for having me, Nick. Thanks for having me, Garrett.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a fun time.
Maybe after free agency, we'll have to make another mock
Yeah.
draft and just to see, because like a
Feel
lot
like
of these
it.
people, a lot of these teams are gonna make signings that make some of these draft picks irrelevant. So
Yep.
that might just have to happen. Or if we're completely right, because we know everything there is to know about football and finances, all of our signings are gonna be right, and these picks are gonna be spot on. So who knows?
all right, that's the end of the podcast. Garrett, stop dragging along.
All right, thank
Until
you guys
next
for
time,
watching.
See ya.
First ever video podcast, and peace out. Enjoy your day, guys.